Me, 37, CTO and co-founder of tech startup in Berlin, Germany. Salary €95,000 plus 15% equity stake. Been building this company for 4 years. Company is called VeloTrack. We make fitness tracking app for cyclists. Started with 2 co-founders. Me handling tech, business partner handling operations, investor partner handling funding. We track cycling routes, performance metrics, social features, integrate with smart bikes. App has 380,000 active users across Europe, growing 20% year over year. Bootstrapped first 2 years, then raised €2.8 million series of funding 18 months ago. Currently 28 employees, 12 engineers for designers, 6 marketing, 3 sales, 3 operations. Engineering team is solid, experienced developers who built the app from ground up. Lead engineer is Marcus Weber, 34, been with us since month 3. He architected entire backend system, knows every line of code. Senior engineers include Thomas Klein, 31, handles mobile iOS development, and Stefan Mueller, 29, manages Android platform and integration systems. All 3 are German, technically brilliant, low drama, just focused on building. We also have 5 mid-level engineers, all men, ages 26 to 32. They handle features, bug fixes, optimization, routine development work. 2 junior engineers, both women actually, hired 8 months ago. Anna Schmidt, 24, and Lisa Hoffman, 23, both recent graduates from TU Berlin. They're learning quickly, good additions to team, potential for growth. When I started this company, I didn't think much about gender composition. Just hired best engineers I could find who wanted to work for startup equity. Turned out they were mostly men, which is typical for Berlin tech scene. Engineering talent pool here is maybe 15% women, so our ratio reflected that. 10 male engineers, 2 female engineers, seem proportional to available talent. But over past year, I've been more aware of diversity issues in tech. Attending conferences, reading articles, seeing discussions about inclusion. Berlin tech scene is very progressive. Lots of focus on making industry more welcoming. Companies compete on diversity metrics. Investors ask about gender ratios. Start feeling uncomfortable about our team composition. It looks bad. We're 83% male engineering team. That's exactly the problem everyone talks about. At Tech Meetup 6 months ago, a woman from another startup asks about her team. How many women engineers do you have? 2 out of 12. We're working on improving that. Working on it? You're the CTO. You control hiring. She's right. I do control hiring. I could change this immediately. Start thinking about our next hiring phase. We're planning to expand team. Series of funding gives us runway to hire 6 more engineers over next year. This is opportunity to transform team composition, get to 40 to 50% women. That would be impressive. Show real commitment to diversity. Put us ahead of most Berlin startups. Great for PR and company culture. Month 1 of Diversity Initiative, we post opening for senior backend engineer. This is important role. Need someone who can work with Marcus on architecture. Scaling challenges are coming as user base grows. Need experienced person. Get 89 applications over 3 weeks. Screen them carefully. About 12 are from women, 77 are from men. Typical ratio for senior positions. The male candidates are strong, several with 8 to 12 years experience. One guy, Andreas Fischer, has 10 years back-end development, worked at SoundCloud and Zalando. His resume shows exactly the experience we need: scalability, architecture, team leadership. Another candidate, Henrik Larsson from Denmark, 9 years experience, built payment systems at Klarna. Both would be perfect fits, either could step in and contribute immediately. The women candidates are less experienced overall. Most have 3 to 5 years. One stands out though, Sofia Kowalski, 6 years experience, worked at smaller startups. Her background is decent, not as strong as Andreas or Henrik, but capable. In traditional hiring, I'd pick Andreas or Henrik without question. But I'm trying to diversify team. This is chance to hire woman for senior role. I interview all three. Andreas and Henrik are technically excellent. Deep knowledge, ask smart questions, understand our scaling challenges. Sophia is good, enthusiastic, smart, but less depth in senior-level architecture. She hasn't worked at scale we're approaching, hasn't solved problems we're facing. But she could learn, she's intelligent and motivated, potential is there. Make decision to hire Sophia, first senior woman engineer on the team. Business partner questions it. Andreas had more relevant experience. Sophia brings perspective we need. Diversity of thought improves teams. Does she have the technical skills for this role? She has the foundation. She'll grow into it. Marcus is skeptical when I tell him he interviewed all three candidates. Sophia is capable, but she hasn't done distributed systems work. She'll learn from you. That's what senior engineers do. Mentor. Andreas could contribute immediately. We have scaling deadline in 4 months. We'll make it work. Having diverse perspectives is worth the investment. Marcus doesn't argue further, but I can see his concern. Sophia joins month 2. She's eager and hardworking, starts learning our code base. But there's a gap between her experience and what role requires. Marcus has to spend significant time explaining architecture decisions. Things Andreas or Henrik would have understood immediately from documentation. Month 3, post another opening, this time for iOS engineer. Thomas is overwhelmed with iOS feature requests, needs senior support. Gets 67 applications, 9 from women, 58 from men. Top male candidate is Jan Novak from Czech Republic, 8 years iOS development. Worked at major apps, portfolio shows beautiful interfaces, strong technical skills. Top female candidate is Maria Santos from Portugal, for years iOS experience. Worked at agency doing client projects, decent portfolio, less depth. Thomas reviews both, recommends Jan. He has experience with the frameworks we use. What about Maria? She's good for mid-level, but Jan has the senior experience we need. We should give Maria the opportunity. She can level up. We're already training Sophia. I need someone who can hit the ground running. This is tension point. Thomas is pushing back on diversity hiring. Thomas, we need to build more inclusive team that requires taking chances. Taking chances on critical roles during scaling phase is risky. I'm making the hiring decisions. We're hiring Maria. Thomas accepts it, but relationship is strained. He feels overruled. Maria joins month 4. She's talented, but needs significant guidance. Thomas has to review all her code carefully, rework some implementations. Timeline for iOS features starts slipping. We're not delivering as fast. Month 5, another opening, Android engineer to support Stefan. Get 71 applications. I'm actively filtering for women candidates now. Find candidate named Yuki Tanaka, Japanese woman living in Berlin, 3 years experience. She's junior to mid-level, but enthusiastic, good cultural fit. Top male candidate is Robert Schneider, 7 years Android experience, German local. Stefan strongly recommends Robert. He knows our exact tech stack. Yuki brings international perspective, and she's eager to learn. She has 3 years experience. This role needs 5 minimum. She'll grow quickly with your mentorship. Stefan is frustrated now. I'm already mentoring 2 mid-level engineers. Adding another junior means less time for actual development work. Building inclusive team is priority. Stefan, we need to invest in development. I'm trying to build a product that requires engineers who can actually build. This is getting tense. Stefan is directly challenging my decisions. I'm CTO. I make hiring decisions based on company values, not just technical skills. Technical skills are what make the product work. And diverse teams make better products. Research proves this. Hire Yuki despite Stefan's objections. He's clearly unhappy about it. Month 6. Marcus comes to me with concern about Sophia's work. She's struggling with the scalability architecture, made some decisions that won't work long-term. What kind of decisions? She implemented caching system that works for current load, but won't scale to 500K users. We need to hit that milestone next quarter for Series B fundraising. Can you work with her to fix it? I've been working with her, but she doesn't have the background for these problems. I told you in the beginning, Andreas had this experience. He's saying, I told you so without saying it directly. We're not going back on our commitment to diversity. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to acknowledge we have technical gap. Then we'll train through it, assign her learning resources. We don't have time. The scaling deadline is in 10 weeks. Marcus is right about timeline, but I can't admit the hiring was a mistake. Do what you need to do to meet the deadline. That's what senior engineers do. He leaves frustrated. I can tell he's losing patience with situation. Month 7, Thomas reports that iOS release is delayed again. Maria is good, but she's not moving fast enough on critical features. We promised these features to users 3 weeks ago. Where's the delay specifically? She's implementing features, but they need significant revision. I'm spending more time reviewing and fixing than if I just did them myself. Same pattern. Experienced engineer spending time compensating for junior hire. Thomas, mentorship takes time. That's the investment we're making. Mentorship is fine for junior engineers, but we hired her as senior. She's growing into the senior role. The users don't care about her growth trajectory. They want features that work. Thomas is openly frustrated now. I note this in my mental record. These senior male engineers are resistant to change, to new team dynamics. They're focused on short-term delivery, not long-term culture building. Month 8, I make another hire, DevOps engineer for infrastructure. This is critical role, managing servers, deployment, system reliability. Get strong male candidate, Oliver Becker, 9 years DevOps experience. Get female candidate, Nina Popov from Bulgaria, 2 years DevOps experience. Oliver has experience with our exact infrastructure stack, AWS, Kubernetes, all of it. Nina knows basics, but hasn't worked at scale we're operating. Marcus specifically requests Oliver. Nina isn't ready for this responsibility. We need someone who can handle infrastructure. Our uptime is critical for user trust. Nina can learn infrastructure management. She can learn at a company with simpler systems. Not here, not now. Marcus is almost pleading now. First time I've heard desperation in his voice. Marcus, we're building an inclusive company. That means taking risks on people. We're also building a product that 380,000 people depend on. If our infrastructure fails, we lose users, we lose revenue, we lose everything. I understand your concerns, but diversity is non-negotiable. Hire Nina. Marcus stops arguing with me altogether after this. Just says, okay, and goes back to his desk. I can see resignation in his posture. Month 9, performance issues start appearing in the app. Users reporting crashes, slow loading times, features not working correctly. Marcus traces it to Sophia's caching implementation. It's breaking under load. I told you this would happen. The architecture can't handle current traffic. Can you fix it? Yes, but it requires rebuilding significant portion of what she built. How long? 3 weeks of focused work means delaying other features. We're now in reactive mode, fixing problems instead of building forward. Thomas reports similar issues with iOS app. Maria's code has bugs. Users leaving 1-star reviews. App keeps crashing. Features don't work. Our rating drops from 4.6 stars to 4.1 stars in 2 weeks. This is visible to everyone. Potential new users see declining quality. Month 10, Stefan comes to me with Android problems. Yuki made changes that broke the bike integration system. Third-party bike manufacturers are complaining their devices don't sync. Can you fix it? I'm already fixing 3 other issues from last sprint. This will take more time. How much time? Week to diagnose and fix properly, or 2 days to patch it temporarily. Do the patch for now. We need the integration working. We're accumulating technical debt, patching instead of solving properly. The experienced engineers are overwhelmed compensating for the less experienced hires. Month 11, major problem, infrastructure goes down for 6 hours. Nina was managing server update. Something went wrong. entire app is offline. 380,000 users can't access the app during peak evening cycling time in Europe. Social media explodes with complaints. Our support email is flooded. Marcus and Stefan work through the night to restore service. Nina is in over her head, doesn't know how to diagnose the root cause. Marcus finds the issue, configuration error that experienced DevOps engineer wouldn't make. After restoring service, Marcus sends me detailed email documenting the incident. Root cause: inexperienced DevOps engineer made configuration error during routine update. Impact: 6 hours downtime. Estimated 12,000 users affected during peak time. Recovery: required senior engineering intervention to diagnose and resolve. Recommendation: hire experienced DevOps engineer to prevent future incidents. He's creating paper trail, documenting everything. Very German approach. I respond, incidents happen. This is learning opportunity for Nina. Marcus replies, at what cost to users and company reputation? Month 12, Series B fundraising begins. We need 8 million euros to expand across Europe. Investors review our metrics, user growth, engagement, technical capabilities. Our numbers look concerning. User growth slowed from 20% to 8% year over year. App rating dropped from 4.6 to 3.9 stars, losing users faster than gaining. Retention rate decreased from 68% to 52%, people abandoning the app. Lead investor, woman named Katharina Schneider from Munich VC firm, asks tough questions. Your growth has stalled significantly. What happened in the last year? We've been investing in team development and product improvements, but product quality appears to have declined based on user reviews. We're working through some technical challenges as we scale. Who's leading your engineering team? I am, as CTO, with support from our senior engineers. Can I meet with your lead engineer to understand technical strategy? She wants to talk to Marcus. This could be problematic. Marcus meets with Katharina. I'm not in the room. Afterward, Katharina asks for detailed documentation of engineering decisions. I want to understand team composition, hiring decisions, technical architecture choices. This is an unusual request. Investors don't usually dig this deep into personnel. Provide her with org chart, hiring timeline, technical roadmap. She studies it carefully during next meeting, then asks pointed questions. You hired 4 new engineers in past 10 months, all women. Yes, we're committed to building diverse team. What was their experience level compared to the roles they were hired for? This is dangerous territory. She's seen the pattern. They had foundation experience. We're investing in their development. Your lead engineer documented several incidents of technical failures, traced back to inexperienced engineers making critical errors. Were the engineers who made these errors among your recent diversity hires? She has Marcus's documentation. He gave her everything. Incidents are learning opportunities. All engineers make mistakes. Not all mistakes cause 6 hours of downtime for 380,000 users. Your iOS engineer released code with critical bugs that crashed the app. Your backend engineer built architecture that couldn't handle your traffic. Your DevOps engineer brought down your infrastructure. All in a 10-month period, all traced to engineers with insufficient experience. She has it all documented, time-stamped, with impact analysis. We prioritize diversity in our hiring, which sometimes means taking chances. Taking chances is fine for non-critical roles, not for senior engineering positions. Your lead engineer provided me with comparison data. For each role, you had candidates with significantly more experience who were passed over. In every single case, you hired less experienced woman over more experienced man. Marcus gave her everything, the applications, the comparison spreadsheets. I was building more inclusive team by sacrificing technical capability during critical growth phase. That's not building. That's ideology over execution. 2 weeks later, Katharina's firm passes on the Series B investment. We don't see clear path to recovery given current technical challenges. Product quality issues and slowing growth suggest execution problems. We're not confident in leadership's decision-making around critical roles. Other investors follow suit. No one wants to invest after lead VC passes. Series B fails completely. We raise €0 of the €8 million target. Month 14. Emergency board meeting with original investors and co-founders. Business partner is direct. We failed to raise Series B. We have runway for 8 more months. If we can't turn around growth and quality metrics, company will fold. Investor partner asks the critical question, what went wrong with the product? We had technical challenges during scaling phase. Katerina said it was hiring decisions. Is that accurate? Can't lie to the board. They'll find out anyway. I prioritize diversity in engineering hiring over pure experience. How significant was the gap between experience and role requirements? Business partner pulls out Marcus's documentation. He's seen it too. For senior backend role, you passed on candidate with 10 years for one with 6 years. For iOS role, passed on 8 years for 4 years experience. For DevOps role, passed on 9 years for 2 years experience. In each case, the less experienced engineer made costly mistakes. Mistakes the more experienced candidate likely wouldn't have made. Investor partner is frustrated. This is fiduciary irresponsibility. You use company resources to pursue social agenda instead of business objectives. I was building better team culture. You were tanking the product quality and losing users. Diverse teams perform better. Research shows this. Not when you hire unqualified people for critical roles. That's not diversity, that's negligence. Board votes to restructure engineering team. Bring an outside CTO consultant. I move to advisory role, stripped of hiring authority and team management. Keep my equity stake, but lose operational control and salary drops to €45,000. Month 15, consultant is Henrik Larsson, the guy I rejected for Sophia's role. Irony is not lost on anyone. He's now evaluating the team I built. Henrik spends 2 weeks assessing engineering team, reviewing codebase. His report is brutal, completely brutal, lays out everything. Backend architecture is fragile, won't scale beyond 400K users without major refactoring. iOS codebase has significant technical debt, shortcuts, and patches everywhere. Android integration layer is unstable, causing ongoing sync issues. Infrastructure management lacks proper monitoring and fail-safe systems. He traces each problem to specific engineer and provides experience comparison. These are not problems from engineers learning. These are problems from engineers operating above their level. His recommendations are stark. Replace 4 of 6 recent hires with experienced engineers. Retain Anna and Lisa as mid-level engineers. They're appropriately positioned. But Sophia, Maria, Yuki, and Nina need to be replaced with senior-level talent. Board approves recommendations immediately. Restructuring begins. Month 16, the 4 women engineers are let go, given severance packages. It's devastating. They did their best, but they were set up to fail. I put them in roles they weren't ready for, then couldn't admit the mistake. Marcus, Thomas, and Stefan start leading recruitment for replacements. They hire Andreas Fischer, the backend engineer I rejected for Sophia. They hire Jan Novak, the iOS engineer I rejected for Maria. They hire experienced DevOps engineer from Amazon Web Services. They hire senior Android engineer from Spotify. All men, all highly experienced, exactly what we needed a year ago. Within 3 months, product quality improves dramatically. Andreas fixes the backend architecture. App handles increased load smoothly. Jan cleans up iOS codebase. Bugs decrease by 70%. Performance improves. New DevOps engineer implements proper monitoring. No more outages. App rating climbs back to 4.4 stars. User growth resumes at 15% year over year. Month 20, company is stabilizing, but damage is done to my reputation. I'm 38, still advisory CTO, but everyone knows I'm sidelined. Real decisions are made by Marcus, Henrik, and the new senior engineers. Month 22, business partner approaches me with difficult conversation. Board wants to buy out your equity stake, remove you from company. Why? Company is recovering. Because you nearly destroyed it with ideological hiring decisions. Cost us Series B funding, lost us users, damaged our reputation. And you still haven't acknowledged it was wrong. He's right. I've been defensive this whole time, justifying instead of admitting. What's the offer? 180,000 euros for your 15% stake. Company is valued at 1.2 million euros now after the near collapse. My stake should be worth 2.8 million euros if we'd maintain trajectory and raise Series B. Instead, it's worth 180,000 euros because I tanked company value. If I don't accept, board will vote to remove you anyway. Offer will be lower. Accept the buyout, walk away with 180,000 euros instead of the 2.8 million euro I should have had. Lost 2.62 million euros in equity value because of my hiring decisions. Month 23, I'm 38, unemployed, looking for new CTO role. But news is spread in Berlin tech scene. Everyone knows what happened. She hired based on gender rather than skill, almost bankrupted the startup, rejected experienced engineers for diversity hires who couldn't perform. Can't get interviews at any serious startups. My reputation is destroyed. One recruiter is honest with me. Founders are scared to hire you. They think you'll prioritize politics over product. That's death for a startup. 6 months unemployed, burning through buyout money on rent in expensive Berlin. Finally get offer, senior developer at established company, 58,000 euros. Not CTO, not leadership, just senior developer coding what others design. From 95,000 euro plus equity to 58,000 euros with no equity. Massive step down. 1 year after buyout, I'm 39, working as senior developer at boring enterprise software company. See LinkedIn update. VeloTrack just raised 6 million euro Series B from Katarina's firm. Under Henrik's leadership as new CTO, company is valued at 25 million euros. My 15% would be worth 3.75 million euros. I sold it for 180,000 euros. Lost 3.57 million euros in potential value because of my hiring decisions. Article in TechCrunch features the turnaround. VeloTrack rebounds from near failure. After stabilizing engineering team and improving product quality, company secures major funding. Ukvots Henrik. We focus on hiring the right people for each role based on technical fit. Diversity is important, but it comes from building pipeline, not lowering standards. Quotes Marcus. The previous hiring approach created technical debt we're still working through. But with experienced team in place, we've resolved critical issues and user trust is returning. Comments on article are brutal toward me, though not named directly. Previous CTO hired based on demographics, not qualifications, almost killed the company. Everyone in Berlin tech scene knows they're talking about me. 2 years after buyout, I'm 40, still senior developer, making 58,000 euros. See that Sophia, one of engineers I hired, is now at smaller startup. She's mid-level back-end engineer, appropriate for her experience level. Posted on LinkedIn. Grateful for supportive team that mentors at my level. I'm learning so much, not overwhelmed, just challenged appropriately. Implicit criticism of how I position her set her up to fail. Maria is doing iOS development at agency, back to mid-level work. Yuki returned to Japan, working at smaller tech company in supportive environment. Nina is doing DevOps at consultancy, handling less critical infrastructure. All of them are fine, thriving actually in roles appropriate to their experience. They weren't bad engineers, they were just put in wrong positions. I damaged their confidence by expecting senior performance from mid-level capability. 3 years after buyout, attend tech conference in Berlin, Marcus is speaking. His talk is about building effective engineering teams during scaling. Doesn't mention me by name, but everyone knows the context. Hiring is about matching role requirements to candidate capabilities. You need experience where experience matters. Architecture, infrastructure, security. You can take chances on junior roles, but senior roles require proven track record. Diversity is achieved through pipeline development, not through lowering role standards. After talk, I approach him, first time seeing him in 2 years. That was good presentation, Marcus. He looks at me. Expression is neutral, professional. Thank you. How are you doing? Working as senior developer at enterprise company. It's fine. That's good, steady work. Awkward silence. Then I say what I should have said 3 years ago. You were right about the hiring decisions. I should have listened. I was trying to prevent mistakes that would hurt the company. I know that now. But I thought you were being resistant to change. I was resistant to putting unprepared people in critical roles. That's not resistance to change. That's responsible engineering management. He's not gloating, just stating facts. Sophia, Maria, Yuki, Nina, they're all doing well now in appropriate roles. They were set up to fail by being put in positions beyond their experience. I realized that I damaged them by over-promoting them. And you damaged the company, and you damaged your own career. Every word is accurate. Every word hurts. VeloTrack is doing well now. I see the Series B announcement. Yes, we're stable, growing sustainably, hiring properly. Andreas is excellent. The architecture is solid now. He was the right hire 3 years ago, would have prevented most of our problems. Marcus lets that sink in. The counterfactual is painful. What would you have done differently? I would have hired based on role requirements first, diversity second. Would have mentored junior engineers without putting them in senior roles. Would have listened to my lead engineer when he raised concerns. Would have prioritized product quality over demographic optics. He nods. That's what Henrik is doing now, and it works. We have more women engineers than before, but they're in roles that fit their experience. Anna and Lisa are thriving. They're promoted to senior now, 3 years later. They earned it by developing skills, not by being handed titles prematurely. This is what proper development looks like, what I failed to provide. I'm sorry for not listening to you, Marcus. I'm sorry for nearly destroying what we built. He's quiet for a moment, then extends hand. I appreciate you saying that. It couldn't have been easy. Take care of yourself. He walks back to conference attendees, successful CTO of growing startup. I return to my seat, senior developer at boring enterprise company. 4 years after buyout, I'm 41, still making 62,000 euros as senior developer. VeloTrack is now at 800,000 users, valued at 45 million euros after Series C funding. Henrik is celebrated as turnaround CEO who saved the company. Marcus is VP of engineering, leading team of 35 engineers now. 12 of those engineers are women, up from the 2 when I left. But they were hired properly, positioned appropriately, developed gradually, not thrown into senior roles before they were ready. Article in European Tech publication features their diversity success. VeloTrack achieves 34% women in engineering through proper pipeline development. Ukvots Henrik. We hired junior women engineers and invested in their growth. 3 years later, they're senior engineers because they earned it. This is sustainable diversity, what I failed to create. 5 years after buyout, I'm 42, still senior developer. My 15% equity that I sold for 180,000 euros would now be worth 8 million euros after Series C. Lost 7.82 million euros in potential wealth because of my hiring decisions. From CTO of promising startup to senior developer at enterprise software company. From 95,000 euro plus equity to 62,000 euros with no equity. Permanent career damage. See Andreas Fischer speak at conference about back-end architecture. He's exactly as brilliant as his resume suggested 5 years ago. Everything he would have contributed if I'd hired him for Sophia's role. After presentation, other CTOs approach him for advice. He's respected expert. That could have been VeloTrack's trajectory if I'd hired him when I should have. See that Sophia is now senior engineer at different startup, took her 5 years. Same timeline Anna and Lisa took at VeloTrack with proper development. She would be at same level now either way, but she'd have confidence. Instead of failure experience I gave her by promoting her prematurely. 6 years after buyout, see final vindication in tech news. VeloTrack acquired by major European sports brand for 120 million euros. Henrik, Marcus, and early engineers become wealthy from acquisition. My 15% stake that I sold for 180,000 euros would have been worth 18 million euros. Lost 17.82 million euros in potential acquisition proceeds. Article quotes Henrik on keys to success. Right people in right roles at right time. We learned hard lesson about matching capability to responsibility. Once we fixed that, everything else followed. Everyone knows he's talking about fixing my mistakes. Now I'm here, 43, making 65,000 euros as senior developer. No equity, no upside, just salary at boring enterprise company. While Marcus, Andreas, Jan, Henrik, all the people I rejected or sidelined, are wealthy from acquisition of company I co-founded. Company that succeeded only after I was removed. All because I hired based on gender instead of capability. Prioritized diversity metrics over role requirements. Rejected experienced engineers for inexperienced engineers. Then refused to admit mistakes until company nearly collapsed. That's what I live with now, at 43, at 65,000 euros. Former CTO who cost herself 17 euros. 82M. By hiring wrong people for wrong reasons. While calling it progress, calling it inclusive, calling it necessary. When really it was just incompetent leadership, disguised as social justice. That destroyed product quality, user trust, company value. In my own career, equity, reputation. Everything I built for 4 years gone. Because I thought demographics mattered more than capability.